do we have to go? One of the things, for instance, and by the way, this is in the form of an announcement, John Guido is the new chair of the Finance Committee, and he has said that the downtown revitalization liaisons on the FinCom are going to be Eric Menzer and Lou Ross. And one of the things that we want to start letting them know is we see no immediate needs to ask the town for any money on this. We're doing well with state grants, we're going to continue that way. But there may be a point down the road where some town investment is necessary. I think it'll be far less than the cost of the town hall, but there ought to be something like placeholders, even if we don't have answers, so we kind of see what's going to be there.
Well, what concerns me is when I talk to Catherine, and I really don't know the Finance Committee, I haven't done the budget process. We're just in the incipient stages of sending the information out. But sometimes if you're going to have a capital plan, you have to have a plan for your capital plan, which is the town will set aside this amount. I'm told every year all you get is $300,000. That's not a capital plan.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not building up your capital. So and when you look at financial policies, if you look at many of them, and Ipswich is one of them, we took 2% and said, we're almost at the levy limit there in any case, but we're going to take 2% of what we can raise every year and just put that in a fund for capital, and you build up your fund and then you draw down on it. It's sort of simultaneously, but if you know in 5 years you're going to need some money, then you start squirreling it away in there.
Yeah, and you always have the option to squirrel away more. You end up
But
being
I
your
don't
own,
see anything like that.
No, you end up being your own bank then, rather than going out and having to bond as much as the theory.
Well, yes, bonding is expensive.
It is, yeah, exactly. The object is to avoid the expensive
So when
bonding.
you're looking at long-term financial planning, those are the kinds of things I would look at, not just financial policies, but how to achieve those.
How would you express that as a goal, if you were to propose a...
Well, here's an example. Next week I'm going to ask you to vote on amending the financial policies to include a prioritized list for capital. Because your financial policies say, based on priorities established by the town. Well, you have no established priorities. I'm using priorities I've used in other communities, which I think makes sense, but you might, the top 3 or 4 I think are pretty solid, but people can move around some of the others. But you know, people come in and they don't know what your priorities are. They know what their priorities are. You know, we need a truck, we need a riding mower, we need this. But the schools, everybody that comes in should understand what the priorities are. But you don't have those.
Yeah, I think it's going to take time to do that.
I know, that's why it's an important and strategic plan. So the only one I'm talking
and we
about
should
right
be
now
talking about that.
is capital, because I've got to put together a capital budget or start the process. And so I say, here are the priorities. But if you're going to fund capital, then you need to have a funding source, and it can't be, well, we're just going to spend $300,000 a year.
Well, I think one of the things that causes a lot of heartburn in taxpayers is this going out to bonding, because you know you pay a lot of interest, and it lasts a long time, because long after the gloss is washed up and you've driven the car 25,000 miles before you pay it off.
Well,
Whereas if we paid for it in advance, we'd save money and there wouldn't be that same angst. We'd also be in a position where our ability to save becomes the governor on what we spend, rather than on can we convince people to bond it.
Well, it's a matter of saying up front and having the discipline to say, it might hurt a little bit now, but long term it's not going to hurt as much.
So I think that should go on as one of the town goals should be to develop that kind of perspective. However we ended up doing it,
I mean, it's death by 1,000 cuts here. You know, your police cruisers should be in their budget. You know, every year they're going to have to replace 1 or 2 cruisers.
So
You know, it doesn't last.
We put in our goals, and we have 3 documents in there for goals. So I'm just taking this out of the one that I had there. Number 3 was financial planning. So the wording is improve and update the 5-year financial forecast model and long-term capital plan. So first of all, it is an action item to update them because we have a
Right.
plan that says
Yeah.
we'll keep them up to date. But the improve is the sorts of things that you're talking about. That
I
we,
like that,
for
too.
example, in the financial plan, we know that we only have a very limited number of variables.
Yeah.
Very simple, but it's great, it's better than nothing. But we do want to improve the quality of that, the factors that are in there, whatever. And then secondly, in the capital plan, the same idea is to improve the capital plan process. So I think that that is probably as good as any, essentially, way of saying it.
It's clear.
I
because
like,
this-
I like Dick's language on
Not
number
really
3
sure.
financial planning. Improve and update the 5-year financial forecast model and long-term capital plan, and that's going to include the process as well.
And, yes,
I like that
yes.
language, that's fine, I'm happy to use that.
Yes, I'm just saying that when I look at, when they say we've only got $300,000 to spend, that's not a financial, it's not a capital plan.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's something to start now, and
Right.
the irony is now's probably a good time if we can, because we gotta do stuff, but the police station isn't falling down. We could get a head start on some of this and start to develop.
But
the
it's going to
discipline.
require that you advocate with the finance committee that this is
Yes.
how it's going to get done.
Yeah, no, I
300,000.
think,
And I think the selectmen have a bigger role to play than they're playing in the budget and the finances here.
I think we need to have the finance committee come to one of the big broadcast meetings and talk with us about this.
Because everybody tells me, well, the finance committee does this, and they say this, and they say
Yeah,
that.
no, we need to
But
work
in my
together.
opinion, the Board of Selectmen is the one that builds the budget, advocates for it, and the finance committee should be advisory. But
Yeah.
I know the history, I know you've got a strong finance committee here, but, you know, who knows better than you folks what the needs on the street are?
Well, we're a little bit like an automatic transmission. The metal parts don't touch. It's just the fluid in between them twirling that causes the next one to turn. And there's a lot of loss in going through.
But I do
A
think,
clearer, more cooperative process, I think, would definitely
I
help
do
us.
think there are things you can implement incrementally
Yeah,
to have a longer-term budget
yeah.
view things, so.
So, are we comfortable with Dick's language as the goal?
Oh, I think it's fine. I would
That's
say
fine.
the other things then should sound more like Dick's. Like there shouldn't be one that's a nice complete sentence and the other one is just kind of a couple of words. They should each be a sentence to be a consistent set of.
Yeah, I think
goals.
putting more in terms of, like you and Dick are saying, to
Yeah.
express your goals. Downtown revitalization, the improvement of downtown is critical to the town's economy and sense of community, and therefore we will continue to support activities
And
that
you
support that.
Even put on this, short-term targets, including seeking state grants for technical assistance.
Yeah,
It's a way
action
of
item,
saying-
I'm not
action
sure we
items.
want to put the reasons for putting them down. In other words, I'm not sure we want to sell the reasons, but I think obviously more than just downtown revitalization, in a sense, the kinds of
Yeah.
things that the action items might be.
Well, I would
engaging the
welcome
public,
any language
using
anybody
grants,
has on
whatever.
these before.
But we're trying to convince people as to why we put the goal there. I'm not sure that we want to add too much to that.
What I'd like to do, because we slipped right by my 5 o'clock deadline, I would like to ask Robin if you would please put these in a
2
reasonable
lists.
order in 2 lists per Dick's thing. I don't care if you're mixing the short little quick phrases and Dick's sentence on the 5-year forecast plan, but whatever makes sense.
Right.
Put this out, let us look at it, we'll come back another time. Because I think
Okay.
we're going in a good direction,
And many of these items are underway.
which is good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Robin.
So, I think
That's
it
the
com-
reason, Robin, you.
And then
Thank you.
when you're looking at them, Robin, if you feel like many towns have a goal and then very specific, a couple of
Well,
bullets
that's what I think I'm
underneath,
going
but I
to
think
do
is
is,
helpful. It's like, those are very specific things that are gonna happen, it's very clear to everybody what is being worked on.
I think, you know, definitely with downtown revitalization, and I do think articulating the reason is important at some point. You guys know the reason, but this
Sure.
is a public document. That's the only comment I would make about that.
It's a public document, but it's our focus.
Right.
But when we talk about doing planning, and that's your point, I think, is that you have the bullet item. We have had the planning sessions that take these goals and break them into the functions that need to be done and then assignments. You've seen, I had last year I put out the history, how we did it at least one year. So if nothing else, we have a model, but it's an obvious kind of model that people use for many years when you're going to do some planning. You take the goals you have and you bust them into the pieces and know who's going to do what, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we haven't really busted them into pieces.
And that also helps us
Haven't done
decide
that yet.
whether,
Yeah.
are we going to choke on these goals because
Well, I
we put
think-
too much in, or are we able to do that?
I'm a great fan on having a really easy, short read version for
I
the
agree.
casual observer.
Yes.
And
I always
we
say,
can-
give me the comic book version.
Absolutely.
Exactly,
That's
exactly,
what we
you
want.
know, Cliff Notes. So anyway, that all said, I feel we're moving well in this, thank you. You're comfortable with us going forward in this way?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's do that for the time
Motion to
being. There's
adjourn.
one- Thank you. Do I hear a,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
Thank you, thanks, Kip.